The sun was slowly sinking behind the battered hills of northern Burkina Faso, casting long shadows across a battlefield that had seen far too much death for one lifetime. Smoke rose from burnt-out vehicles. The air was thick with the metallic scent of blood. Dust swirled with every faint breeze, settling over the fallen like a blanket no one asked for. And there, moving through this world of silence and ruin, was Captain Ibrahim Traoré. His boots pressed heavily into the mud, carrying the weight of a man who had not only fought a war, but carried the lives of hundreds on his shoulders. His uniform was torn, streaked with ash and sweat. His eyes, usually sharp, calculating, unbreakable, now glimmered with something deeper, heavier, almost unbearable. He walked slowly between the bodies of the men who had followed him into the fire without hesitation. These were not strangers. These were brothers, farmers, teachers, dreamers. Sons of the soil who had risked everything so their homeland might breathe freely again. They had not marched for glory or medals. They had marched for survival, Burkina Faso's survival. The wind carried faint cries from the distance, families just beyond the ridge learning the fate of those who had not returned, mothers whose knees buckled as their sons' names were spoken, wives clutching photographs, children too young to understand why their fathers were not coming back. Ibrahim swallowed hard, refusing to let grief break him yet. Not yet. There was something he needed to find, something that terrified him more than gunfire ever had. Face after face, he searched. Body after body, he knelt, checking tags, memorizing features. He insisted on doing it himself. He refused to let a list on a clipboard replace human dignity. If a soldier had given his life under Ibrahim's command, then Ibrahim would honor him with his own hands. And then he saw him. He froze. His breath evaporated. His heartbeat collapsed into silence. There, half covered in dust, his uniform soaked in dried blood, lay Sergeant Amadou Kaboré, 27 years old, father of two, husband to a woman in her 7th month of pregnancy, and the man Ibrahim considered his most loyal soldier, his most relentless believer, his quiet source of strength during the darkest nights. He stared down at Amadou as if the world had suddenly stopped rotating. Amadou, who teased younger soldiers until they laughed through their fear. Amadou, who sang revolutionary songs at night, turning the entire camp into a chorus of hope. Amadou, who once handed his own food rations to a starving child in a liberated village without a second thought. Amadou, who dragged Ibrahim from a burning armored truck just 2 weeks earlier, coughing through the smoke, his voice cracked but steady as he said, "The country cannot afford to lose you, Captain. I'm just a soldier. You are the future." Now he lay motionless, 3 bullet holes across his torso, his weapon still in his hand, his face peaceful in a way that stabbed Ibrahim deeper than any blade could. Ibrahim fell to his knees. He didn't care about protocol, he didn't care about the watching officers, he didn't care about the chopper blades roaring overhead. He knelt in the blood-soaked dirt beside the man who had saved him more than once, who had believed in him when officers doubted him, who had fought with the kind of courage that legends were built from. He reached out with trembling hands and touched Amadou's shoulder. "Brother," Ibrahim whispered, his voice breaking like dry wood under pressure. "How do I tell your sons their hero is gone? How do I tell your wife you died so that others could live? How do I explain that the nation needed you more than your unborn child does?" His words dissolved into the wind, but his grief did not. It stayed. It stayed in his eyes. It stayed in his hands. It stayed in the tremor coursing through his body. A colonel approached stiffly and saluted. "Captain, we have 32 confirmed fallen, including Sergeant Kaboré. Should we proceed with standard protocol?" "Leave us," Ibrahim whispered. "Sir?" I said, "Leave us." The colonel hesitated. This was not military procedure. This was not how officers behaved. But there was something in Ibrahim's voice, a storm, a warning, a pain too sacred to disturb. He signaled the others to retreat. One by one, the soldiers stepped back, leaving Ibrahim alone with Amadou. Ibrahim placed his cap over his heart, His shoulders began to shake uncontrollably. This man, this hardened commander who had never flinched under machine gun fire, now wept openly, silently, painfully over a fallen brother. No one had ever seen him like this, but no one dared look away. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Time meant nothing anymore. Then the earth trembled, not from explosions, but from the heavy march of Major General Wagadugu, a man known for cold discipline and unwavering adherence to rules. He approached like a storm, boots slamming the ground as if he intended to crush disobedience underfoot. "Captain Traoré," he barked, "what you are doing is unacceptable. You are an officer. Get up. We have procedures. We have responsibilities. Get up. Now." Ibrahim did not move. "Captain," the general thundered again. Slowly, Ibrahim lifted his head. Tears streaked through the dirt on his cheeks. His eyes burned with something powerful, dangerous, almost revolutionary. "He has a name," Ibrahim said. The general blinked, thrown off. "What?" "He is not the dead. He is Sergeant Amadou Traoré, a father, a husband, a man who loved this country so much he died for it. And you want me to process him like paperwork?" The general's jaw clenched. Officers around him stiffened. "Captain, you dishonor his sacrifice by undermining discipline," the general snapped. "You set a dangerous example by letting emotion cloud judgment." Ibrahim stood slowly, his hands still touching Amadou. "You are wrong." A wave of shock rippled through the gathered soldiers. "You are wrong," Ibrahim repeated louder, voice rising like a flame catching wind. "For decades, we have treated our soldiers like tools, like disposable bullets. Sent them to die for corrupt men who steal from the nation they are sworn to serve, turned their blood into statistics, their sacrifices into footnotes." The general's hand moved toward his sidearm. "Careful, Captain, you are approaching insubordination." "Insubordination?" Ibrahim let out a bitter laugh. "Amadou died fighting terrorists with weapons our own government sold them under the table. He died protecting villages our leadership abandoned because there wasn't enough bribe money. He died believing in a Burkina Faso that does not yet exist." Silence gripped the battlefield. Every medic, every officer, every exhausted soldier listened. "I will not leave him," Ibrahim said. "I will carry him myself. I will tell his wife. I will look his children in the eye and tell them their father was a hero. And if you want to arrest me, go ahead." The general's face turned purple with rage. His hand hovered over his pistol. But then, a young lieutenant stepped forward. "Permission to help carry Sergeant Traoré, Captain." Another soldier joined him. Then 5. Then 10. Then 50. In a single moment, the old chain of command cracked. Nearly 50 soldiers abandoned protocol to stand beside Ibrahim. The general's eyes widened. His authority was dissolving in real time. Slowly, painfully, he lowered his hand. "Do what you must," he said quietly, "but understand what you start today will echo far beyond this battlefield." "I am counting on that," Ibrahim replied. He bent, slipped his arms beneath Amadou's body, and lifted him with infinite care like a father carrying a sleeping child. The soldiers formed up around him. No one ordered them to. Something older than rules guided them. As Ibrahim carried Amadou across the field, men began to stand at attention. Medics paused their frantic work to salute. Even helicopter pilots circled lower to witness the procession. Then someone started singing. A revolutionary song from the nation's old struggles, a song about sacrifice, hope, and rebirth. Others joined. Voices rose. 50 voices. 100. 200. A chorus of soldiers saluting their fallen brother. Ibrahim's tears streamed freely now, but he did not falter. He walked steadily, each step a vow carved into the earth. At the evacuation zone, he personally laid Amadou down, straightened his uniform, fixed his tags, and saluted for a long, trembling minute as hundreds of soldiers raised their hands in unison. In that moment, something shifted inside the military, something irreversible. Men realized that true strength is not coldness, that true discipline is not the absence of emotion, that true leadership is not domination, it is devotion. Word of that day spread like wildfire. Soldiers told other soldiers, families told neighbors. The story reached radios, then newspapers, then every corner of the country. During Amadou's funeral, Ibrahim promised his widow, Salimata, that her husband's death would not dissolve into the forgotten dust of government lies. His speech was recorded, posted online, and within days was being shared across West Africa. The nation saw a captain who cried for his men, a leader who carried the dead, a soldier who defied corruption. And for the first time in years, people had hope. Months later, that hope ignited a revolution. And 18 months after Amadou's death, Ibrahim Traoré became president. Not because he wanted power, but because people trusted the man who carried a fallen soldier across a battlefield instead of hiding behind hierarchies and fear. Every year, he visits Amadou's family. Every year, he reminds them and the nation of the man whose sacrifice awakened a generation. Because revolutions do not begin with speeches. They begin with moments like that one, when one man kneels beside his fallen brother and refuses to accept a world built on injustice. And that is why this story will be told long after we are gone.